So, I have an article about something going on in Russia, and I'm a couple days late on this, but I thought I would do this one anyway, just because I found it a little interesting, and I thought I'd react to this one. So, here it goes from Engadget. Russia bans Death Note and other violent anime. And the violent part is under so many air quotes, there's not enough in the world to be appropriate. A court blocked the shows on some streaming sites. It seems a Russian court has started to scribble the names of anime series in a mysterious black notebook. A distinct court banned Death Note, Tokyo Ghoul, and Inuyashinki on certain streaming websites over worries that teens are recreating violent acts from them. The St. Petersburg court system alleged that every episode contains cruelty, murder, violence, according to the Moscow Times. In December, 5 lawsuits were brought against 49 sites that stream anime. Prosecutors also called for the bans on Naruto, Elfen Lied, and Interspecies Reviewer. The court blocked the distribution of Death Note, Inuyashiki on 2 websites and Tokyo Ghoul on one site. During Wednesday's hearing, an expert for the prosecution reportedly described Death Note as potentially dangerous for a modern child. No, this expert is a hack and full of crap. But moving on. Although the bans are specific to those sites and the court seems to be tackling anime on a case-by-case basis, there are suggestions that the Razomana, you know what, screw it, I'm not even going to try pronouncing it right. They lost any respect to be worth that. Censorship agency may treat the ruling as a general ban on the shows. Parents in Russia have been demanding a ban on Death Note since 2013 following the death by suicide of a teen who had a collection of the manga. And yeah, that's all the article says. And this kind of... Actually, the reason I found out about this was because of Clownfish TV, and I liked what the Neon said on this. It's that whenever these niches were underground and they only had actual fans enjoying them, there was no problem. It was only till normies got a hold of them that all the fun went away. And this sounds exactly like what happens with video games, Dungeons and Dragons, TV shows. Like, just because some concerned citizen thinks it's a problem, they have to start a bitch fit about it. And it really is infuriating because I only know a little bit moral panics, but it does feel like we are in a moral panic again. Because there have been moral panics for everything: Dungeons and Dragons, video games, music. Not even like the satanic sounding kind. Like death metal sounds kind of satanic, but also kind of good. But video games are still getting shit on nonstop, and it's annoying as hell. And it feels like anime is going to go through that now. And this is annoying for me because I never lived through a moral panic, or at least when it was happening, I wasn't paying attention. But this one I'm actually paying attention to, and it is annoying as hell that we have to go through this every couple of years. And there were a couple other articles talking on this one, but I just picked one at random. And the reason why I found this a little interesting because I've kind of been paying attention to the history of moral panics and puritanicalism, and it is interesting just to see how stupid humans can be sometimes. Like when things are too good for too long, someone has to stir shit. Like Jack Thompson or Tipper Gore. And I think this is going to only get worse because this is in Russia, and I think it's going to come to other countries where people are just going to encroach more and more on anime. To where it gets to a point where we won't even be getting dubs, I think. Or if we are, they are going to be neutered versions. Like the worst kind of versions. I mean, you already have Funimation trying to censor the shit out of them and inject politics into them. Which is kind of expected of normies. They have to ruin everything that's good in the world. But I think this is going to come here eventually because one of the main reasons why I think the Puritans have never been able to do much to anime over here is because we actually have... Well, I don't know if this plays into it, but we have the First and Second Amendments. And we have freedom of speech and all that, so we're allowed to, And I don't know if Japan has that, but I think they have something like it. In Russia, I highly doubt they have it because that country sounds like it sounds like a depressing place. I mean, journalists disappear on the regular, so there's probably not a lot of people who question this, or if there were people who question it, they'll probably get silenced. And I think this will come, but I think it'll come here eventually because I see people like these social justice warriors and people who want big government. They have no problem with screwing people over and trampling all over their rights. Like they consider the First and Second Amendment pesky afterthoughts. And if you're wondering why I keep bringing them up, I think the First and Second Amendments, the people who support these two should be best friends because you cannot protect one without the other. You cannot have the right to bear arms without the ability to defend it with words, and you cannot have the right to say what you like without the ability to fight back when the government goes tyrannical. But yeah, at some point they're going to try to get rid of the freedom of speech and all the good stuff we have here, like that glorious, sweet First Amendment and Second Amendment. They're going to want to get rid of it and all the other amendments so they can do as they please with carte blanche and do what they like. But yeah, when they do, they're going to go after everything that is fun in the world. It's going to be like prohibition. And the thing that annoys me about these Puritans and busybodies is they never suffer repercussions for their actions. Like, this is something Raging Golden Eagle did a video on back in the day, talking about, like, prohibition and how it was done by busybodies who didn't like alcohol. Yeah, a lot of people died because of prohibition. It gave gangsters more power. And the busybodies who did, they eventually admitted they were full of shit and that what they did was stupid. And they called for alcohol to be brought back, and it made all these jobs for people. And they never, aside from having to face the fact that they were full of shit and crap, and that their ideas were bullshit, they never suffered repercussions for what they did. They never had to suffer for the fact that people died because of them and their laws that they wanted to pass because they couldn't mind their own damn business. And it's going to be the same thing here, because I think when people start trying to oppress people, especially in these little subcultures who like violent video games, music, Dungeons and Dragons, and anime, people are just going to try to find other ways to watch it or play it. And they will get desperate. There will be bootleggers probably for it. Like, imagine bootleggers from Prohibition, but for anime and video games. Actually, that would be pretty funny. Just saying, hey, Mac, what can I do you for? Yeah, you got any violent video games? Which one? Grand Theft Auto? Okay. Low tier quality, or you have something higher you want? Give me a minute. And that would just be fun because of the idea of it, that you're having to sneak around just because you want to play a video game. Like, that's how much of a bullshit scenario it'll be. And it annoys me to no end because, like, I'm not a complete busybody. I mean, there's some things that would piss me off that if I found out people were doing. But can we not just live and let live? Like, people live their lives the way they think it's best for them. Can you not just let them do that and mind your own damn business? No, of course not, because people are bored, they have too much free time on their hands, and these Karens are allowed just to say whatever they like, and infect society with their puritanical crap and just holier than thou bullshit that really it's really tests you. It kind of makes you pray that asteroid would come along a bit faster. And if any of you think I might be making a stretch here, bear in mind the tactics they used for this kind of sound eerily familiar, because the parents in Russia were raging because someone who committed suicide had Death Note mangas in her possession, or that she owned some. The same thing happened here in the U.S. with Dungeons and Dragons. Some guy disappeared, I think a college student, and a guy investigated. He later claimed Dungeons and Dragons was the one responsible. They did the same thing with video games. Every time something goes wrong, they look for a scapegoat. And it's usually a new medium or form of entertainment. And while manga isn't new in that it was made a couple weeks ago, it has been a new medium for the last couple of years. It has been building and becoming more popular. And I think it's just going to continue to be a scapegoat until people finally just step up and say, look, enough is enough. Quit this bullshit and back off. Until then, these people are going to keep on doing this. You already have some of these people in political offices, like in Australia, or people who were assistants to politicians who, like the Karen in Australia, who wanted to ban stuff like No Game, No Life, or Goblin Slayer, and a bunch of other stuff. And the annoying part there was she wasn't satisfied with it just being banned in Australia. It seems like she wanted it to be banned in other countries as well. So these people are never satisfied. They have to keep on pushing, poking, prodding, and seeing how far they can push it before finally someone steps up and say, you know what, enough, raises the middle finger and tells them to F off. And people need to do that more and more these days. The same with these social justice goblins. They need to be told to fuck off. Pardon my language, but yeah, they need to be told to screw off. If you don't like it, go away. Just go away and crawl back into whatever hole you slithered out of. Because that's what these people are. They are attention seekers, and the only reason some of these people are trying to change manga is because it's not because they're fans. It's because it doesn't conform to their petty narcissism. They just want to feel important. You could do stuff to make you feel important. You could go into politics and activism. You won't be that liked because no one likes activists that much. Well, I don't anyway. And you could do anything. You could get a hobby. You could go get a job, get a girlfriend or a boyfriend, or reverse depending on which way you swing or which team you play for. But anyway, those are just my thoughts on it. If you're from Russia and you see this and you're a manga fan, my heart goes out to you because I think this is only going to get worse, way worse, until someone finally stands up and tells them to screw off. Of course, the people who tell them to screw off are probably going to be disappeared. I mean, you do live in Russia, so... And that's not a knock on Russians. Some of them are probably okay people, but you do have a government that disappears journalists. Supposedly. Wouldn't want to put any false information out there. But anyway, those are just my thoughts. I saw Clownfish TV do a video on this, and I wanted to do one of my own, just to put my thoughts on it and kind of just rant and ramble a little. So, yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Remember the game was rigged from the start, and pray for sanity, because we could really use it right about now, because it seems to be getting worse.